Hello, thank you for listening. I am going to present my take of my analysis educational process mining of some examples that we could analyze with Tisco software. So if we go straight to the point, the research question of this analysis has been to study the relationship between the student final performance, namely low performance students and high performance students, in comparison with the realization as a reviewer, the performance as a reviewer when they review their peers. So in order to explain this a little bit better, we can see two kind of classes of processes that I identified in this diagram, which are the processes that are related to the assessment itself, and some processes that are post-assessment, but are also part of a reviewing process. So if we take a look at the diagram itself, we can see that if we move the path to the minimum, we can see that a very important process called visit assess page. Now, this assess page is the center of operations when we are talking about assessing the other peer. Another important process is make an assessment, and although we cannot see in this view, compare scores are intimately related to these three. If we can see this by increasing the number of paths, and we can see that compare scores have a strong relationship with assess page. So this line, it goes with 103, goes straight back to visit assess page, which in turn is the one that leads to compare scores. There are 5 that go to make assessment only. However, indirectly, it goes back to make a census assessment anyway. So they are very strongly related, and this is why we should take a look at them all together. Now, there are other type of processes that are post-assessment processes that we will cover in the next slides. Now, but first of all, let's take a look at general statistics per performance, some general views. We are going to take a look at two sides of the story, two sides of the coin. In one case, we're going to analyze the low performance reviewers and the high performance reviewers on the other hand. So there are no much difference between the two. There's 141 cases in low performance reviewers, whereas there are 124 from the other case, which are not much more than the other case, and the rest of data is quite consistently similar. If we carry on with the process during assessment, we have 3 cases that we should consider. In this case, we take a look at the assessment page access, and we can see there are no significant difference between the two, not even in frequency. In terms of case coverage, there are both type of reviewers cover the same number of coverage of cases, and the time invested is pretty much the same. Same story happens with making an assessment itself. You can see that around 30% case coverage in both cases, and no significant difference between the two in terms of time invested, time spent in the task itself. However, we can see some differences when compare score, and actually is a very significant difference between the two cases. In low performance reviewers, they spend almost 330% more than the high performance cases, meaning that is pretty much 4.6 hours as an average versus almost a minute in the case of high performance cases. So let's discuss this a little bit further later. Now, processes post-assessment. There are three cases that we are going to consider, which are post-feedback, post-comments, and also create notes. Now, focusing in posting feedback, there is a significant difference in terms of frequency coverage, case coverage. The low performance case reviews take more cases in terms of posting feedback. They post feedback to more cases than high performance cases, and almost invest 200%. Let's in other words, double time than the high performance cases. So this is a quite interesting observation. However, in case of post comments and create notes, is a similar story. They spend low performance cases. Reviewers spend less time than high performance reviewers in posting comments to the other peers. And same happens with creating notes. They spend significantly time less than the high performance reviewers when it comes to creating notes for the other peers. So summarizing the observation, we can see that the process during assessment, there are no significant differences between low performances and high performance reviewers. However, there is a difference, quite interesting difference between the two in terms of comparing scores. So overall, low performance reviewers seem to spend more time in the whole task when assessing other peers than high performance reviewers. In terms of processes post-assessment, like we're talking about posting feedback, posting comments, and creating notes, we see that in posting feedback they do spend, low performance reviewers do spend more time, and they cover more cases than high performance. So this is interesting to analyze in comparison with the rest of all the type of comments and secondary feedback, like comments and notes, which is the opposite. They spend less time in those tasks. So let's give some explanations of this behavior. This is a phenomenon. Well, it looks like low performance reviewers need more time for providing feedback for main tasks, namely the actual task itself. It takes more time because they spend more time in comparing scores rather than the high performance reviewers. And in feedback, posting feedback takes more time. It's looked like they need more resources and more back and forth to actually post something meaningful. But there are some tasks, some secondary tasks, like posting comments and posting notes, that are probably considered as secondary tasks for low performance reviewers, which they seem to disregard, like paying the price of having to consume much more time and resources for the main tasks, and this translates in this situation where high performance seem to be more homogeneous in all the tasks that low performance reviewers. And this is just an analysis. It could be wrong, but it's been very useful for our learning and analyzing with this process mining tool. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention. Bye-bye.